Welcome to another episode of One of Us Knows What They're Talking About, and the other one is you. I'm Lori Burch, your host. Join us as we discuss and unpack wills, trusts, estate planning, and probate law in a way that's actually informative, interesting, and, well, hopefully entertaining. Because if you don't have a will, the state of Texas has one for you. Let's dive in. Okay, so this is exciting because it's the beginning of the year. I mean, it's actually not when we're recording this, and it's potentially not when you are listening to this.
Woo!
But when this is released or escapes, remember when I told you that story, the Elvis story?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That instead of calling it a release, it was an escape because the record company never knew what they were going to get because of how controversial he was. So he joked that it wasn't a release, it was an escape. It escaped. Anyway, when this will first be released, when this will first be dropped in the vernacular of the times, it will be New Year's. And New Year's, a new year, 2025 or 2035, whenever you're listening to this. I'm sure that if there's anything that's going to endure, it will be this podcast.
Yeah.
Even though people think this is a Zoom call.
Hey,
Right.
we went viral.
I think,
Great.
yes. I think, Sarah, maybe you need to put across the screen like this is a podcast.
The whole time.
Yeah, this is a podcast. This is a podcast. Here's the link so that you can join us, listen, watch.
It's not an office Zoom meeting. Thank you.
We just hang out here and record it all day.
I mean, it could be a reality show because these conversations we have are basically the same conversations that we have when we're not recording them. But we did go viral on the TikTok. So now that this is 2025, at least when you're listening to this, does it exist? Does it not exist? We just don't know. I suspect it'll be fine.
Just don't know. Yeah.
Because I'm assuming it's just like you can still post on it. You probably just can't make money from it, and you can't download it in the store.
We just don't know, Sam.
Like Flappy Bird.
Like Flappy Bird.
These are uncertain times.
There's rip-offs of Flappy Bird.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but it's okay because I don't want to right now. So what are y'all's opinion on New Year's resolutions? Like, do you think they're good? Do you do them? Or is it like, it's actually just another month. You should be trying to do better for yourself all the time. Sarah.
I don't really do them. I used to, but they fade after like a month. So now I just go to therapy and work on things year round,
Okay. So Sarah.
So proud.
Anti-New Year's resolution, pro therapy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Sam, what about you? Where do you stand on that?
I think if you're good at them, yay for you, but I am not.
You're not.
Like if you know you're gonna stick to them, I think they're good to have like goals also. But if you're gonna say that you're gonna go to the gym, but then you stop after a week, like what was the point of hyping yourself?
So what is an example for you where you used to think they were good, but you didn't stick? Well, what's an example?
Well, I mean, one every year I do is say I'm going to read 50 books, and I never get there.
I can help with that.
Maybe it's the books you're choosing, because I feel like I've read 50 Pusheen books. Or I've read 3 Pusheen books 50 times.
Yeah. I mean, they are usually longer books, which don't help. But then I'll read like 10 in a month's period. I'm not even kidding. And then I'll just not read for like 6 months. So it's just me not spacing them out very well. Maybe I need to do like a book a month, and then everything else is a bonus.
Maybe we should do a book club. That is something I've floated by Cynthia. We've talked about it.
to.
That'd be cool.
Whenever I lived back in East Texas, one of my roommates, JC, me, and Luke, we had book club, but there were several aspects to it. It was one, the person who gets the most books in a year gets a gift card, and we all like would put in like into a pool, and whoever read the most books would get the pool. But that would be also this is the book we're reading for these 2 weeks, and then we'll talk about it.
Mhm.
So it was both like a joint effort, but also your own thing to see. JC pretty much always won. It's fine. She can read like no other.
So something that our listeners can't see and even our viewers can't view, but I do, is on our screens, it has our names, however we decided to enter them. And for some reason, Cynthia put her name in as Cynthia, but then her middle and last initial. So it's Cynthia SF. And
Yes.
of all the many episodes that we've done, I've always it's always in the back of my mind, and I'm now just going to bring it to the forefront, because if you can't tell by now, I have a little bit of a head cold and I'm not thinking clearly. So here you go. So Cynthia SF. So SF is a common abbreviation for San Francisco, and I was thinking that would actually really be a cool name, Cynthia San Francisco.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Like that could be like a book series, and you're a detective. Cynthia San Francisco is on the case in Dallas.
Nice.
Aww.
And Cynthia San Francisco always goes to the Sam Anderson for the famous flapjacks.
Every time she solves a case.
Every time I solve a
Every
case,
time she solves a case,
I go there.
she goes to the Sam Anderson. World famous flapjacks. Say that 3 times. Actually, so I'm really going to go off the rails here, but it made me me flubbing my words made me think of one of my favorite Burch Law flubbing of words. So for those of you who are clients or are to become clients, which is all of you, we have an actually, you'll move to Texas. It's actually a really cool proprietary exclusive tool that we developed. Now we call, everybody knows where this is going now, that we called the Will app for short. And it's a really cool customized tool where clients can go in, answer questions that we've customized, and every one of their answers is then mapped to specific language and templates that we've crafted. So not only is it a great and efficient tool for clients, it's also amazing for law firms. And so for all the law firms that are listening, if you're interested in licensing this, you can reach out to Burch Law and we'll be happy to explain how you can do that. Anyway, we've gone round and round on how we want to describe this to clients, to public facing, right? So we don't want to call it Will app or anything like that, because it's not just wills, and people think apps are only things on your phone, which that isn't accurate. App is short for what?
Application.
I feel like Sarah was only pretending to start to answer when you all said it.
Started and didn't know where it was
opened
going.
Her mouth and then went up.
She went app, and then she like watched us and was like, "Oh,
Appalachia, apple cider,
Figured you guys had it.
apple ancillaries."
I knew you guys had it, Sarah.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm ruining this for anybody, but an app is not just an app that goes on a phone. But anyway, that's too much to explain to the general public. So we actually, one of our esteemed team members, I sometimes I screen calls to see how people are doing, and these calls are only reviewed for quality assurance. And she mentioned something about how it's kind of like a blueprint, and I'm like, oh, I love that. So we started going back and forth, and we narrowed it down to 2 choices. There was estate blueprint builder and estate blueprint designer. And when we were talking about this in a small group, we realized we were talking aloud that one of them will not work. So we put in our chat with our team so that they would read it and not say it. And I said, do you all prefer blueprint builder or blueprint designer? And most everybody chose blueprint builder. And then I said, okay, now say it 3 times aloud. And then throughout the office, what started to go on is what we had experienced in our office and knew that the only answer was blueprint, estate blueprint designer, because we're going to do this. Estate blueprint boober. Estate blueprint builder. Sarah, say it 3 times.
Builder.
Estate blueprint.
Estate blueprint builder.
Estate blueprint builder. Estate blueprint.
Ooh.
No. It's
okay. Sam, try it.
Tongue twister.
Estate blueprint builder, estate blueprint builder, estate blueprint builder.
Okay, it's not fair because you're in theater, and I know that those are warming up exercises, so you don't count. Come on, Cynthia. Estate blueprint
builder, estate blueprint builder, estate blueprint builder.
Nice.
Yeah. I just want to say that was not the experience we had when we were trying to just casually do this.
Hold on. I also remember during this meeting at one point you told me I wasn't allowed to talk anymore. And you're like, you sit over there. And I'm like, well, okay.
Has that only happened one time? It's hard.
I think there's like only one time when you actually said, no, you're not allowed to speak anymore. I'm like, actually, that's fair.
There is no exclusive online Burch Law estate plan blueprint boober. We just have the estate plan, the estate blueprint builder. No, blueprint designer.
Designer is what we call it.
Designer. So anyway, speaking of flubbing words, which we weren't, but it happened. So New Year's resolutions. Cynthia, we were talking about book clubs. That was came off of Sam's conversation. Where do you stand on New Year's resolutions?
I don't put much stock in New Year's resolutions as far as like that's when you're going to start it. It's either you're going to start or you're not, and waiting for some magical time I don't think is going to affect it. So the only thing I see about like the new year is if you're just trying to mark like a time period that's easy for everybody to remember that you're doing something in, then yeah, okay, the new year, you start at day 1.
Yeah.
But other than that, like if you're gonna want to eat better, if you're gonna want to go to the gym, if you're gonna want to start reading, like it's not just gonna be one magical day, it's a process. So you have to kind of build up to it in order to make it a habit and keep going.
I think January is a terrible time to try to start something new. It's, you're so worn out from the holidays, you're trying to get back into the grind, you're tired, you're cold, you probably are sick. Others around you are probably sick. You're trying to get kids back in school. Traffic's like picked up again. Why would you want to?
They are from the holiday.
Yeah. So, I do think the idea of renewal in time, and I think when people try to bite off too much, it's not good. My sister Julie Burch, who is not a sponsor, who is a professional speaker. She has a quote, and now I wish I had looked it up, but it's something to the effect of just try to change one thing. Just change one thing and make the step on the one thing. And I should probably go to her website, julieburch.com, because I bet it's on there. Let me see. Julie Burch.
But hold on. In the meantime, what is the likelihood of Julie deciding to be a sponsor via providing craft services for the podcast?
I thought you were going to ask her to be a guest because I've thought about that before.
I mean, that too, because I would love that. Anytime I get to spend it on Julie's
should be
great.
a guest.
But
yes, but
craft services, I'm just saying, putting it out there.
Maybe we should do an on-location podcast and we'll go to her. Yeah. And we won't even have to ask her to do a spread. She'll just do it. Something.
Nice.
She'll want to know, names and spellings and favorite colors, and we'll have place settings, and yes, it's an experience. That's why she always hosts the holidays. Yes. So one thing that I've noticed, so we're going into 20 years of I mean, not any of you, me, but us collectively,
Ooh.
the collective we. This is our big 20th anniversary year for Burch Law. And a trend that I've noticed is that people will often make getting their estate plan, their wills, trust, powers of attorney, a New Year's resolution. So why do we think that's a common New Year's resolution?
An adult thing to do. A lot of clients will say that they're adulting and signing
Yeah.
appointments.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I think it's because they just spend a lot of time around their family and they see that some are going to drop off soon.
Yeah.
And they realized, well, they don't have a plan. Maybe I should. All working theories. All working theories here.
Right. Sarah, did you want to offer anything?
No,
Are
I
you
think
still
it's like
Googling
it's one of
buttermilk?
those like it's I agree with Sam. It's like one of those like I should do that
Yeah.
type of things.
So if you remember our last episode, we talked about the top reasons people don't have an estate plan that'll work. And what's the number one reason? Like we can go through all these other things, but what did I lead up to as the number one reason people don't have an estate plan?
Procrastination.
Exactly. So it's something that people have on a to-do list. It's something that people know they should adult on, that they should get around to. And so just like we were talking about with New Year's resolutions, maybe there's something that you've been putting off and it's like, okay, this is the year. This is the year I'm going to get this done and I'm going to mark this off my list. So be that as it may, I think it's good to get an estate plan whenever. When we get asked, should I wait until, and I don't even let people finish the sentence, I'm going to say no, because you never know when you're going to have an accident and you're going to be hospitalized and need a medical power of attorney. You never know when you're going to pass away potentially and need to have all your affairs in order. So it does not matter if you might get transferred next year. It does not matter if you might have future kids. It does not matter any of those things. It is a responsible adulting thing to do. And I think people often feel this stress of things that they should do, right? I mean, nobody wants to do that. As lovely of human beings as we all are, some more than others, nobody really wants to call Burch Law. Nobody really wants to use our services. Do they? I mean, no, they don't.
No.
It's okay. Like there are things, there are goods and services that are necessities, and there's goods and services that are extras, fun, superfluous. Do you know what superfluous is, Sarah? It's just so fun when a word escapes my mouth and I'm like, I wonder if Sarah's ever heard that word. I don't know why we treat it like Sarah is a highly educated, intelligent person.
You have a master's degree. You have other.
Yes.
You're very intelligent.
I could use it in context, but I couldn't explain it.
Sarah's like a genius,
really?
actually.
I figured superfluous. I bet you could. Okay, now she's going to the Google. I can see the position.
Oh, you want me to do this now?
No, I don't.
Okay,
actually.
thank God.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. Actually, so just so people know the villain origin story of us going after Sarah, because it's not an intellect thing.
It's not.
She's smarter than half of the other people that work at Burch Law.
She's very capable and very,
very, very capable. It had to do with a strategic planning session. Do you know this, Sarah? Like, can you go back to how this started? Yeah. The hazing of you?
I remember.
I wouldn't use that word.
And well, we can't use horseplay either. That's in the handbook.
No, you can't do horseplay.
And we were asking you to we're asking people to define things, and we discovered that you had this very special skill of defining terms by just reordering the actual terms themselves. So if you're the marketing coordinator, you coordinate marketing.
Right. Yeah.
My favorite term that you've defined is what a trust is. That's my favorite. I think about that every now and then to this day.
What did she say again?
She said it's a document you put a lot of trust into.
Right.
Right. So dear listeners, I need you to understand, and we probably should explain this to some of the newer members of Burch Law. We're not insulting Sarah's intelligence.
No, very intelligent.
It's just we love asking, like, if she knows definitions of words or how she would define things.
Yeah.
She has
it's
a
really
different
more in that
perspective
vein.
on things sometimes, also, because she there's people that have been here for a while, or like some of us that have had, experience in the legal field. Like most of my career has been in the legal field. Lori, the attorneys have gone to law school, and just having somebody who is not from this background, and we're like, define this, and she's like, and she gives something that is completely reasonable most of the time. There's a caveat there, most of the time, but it's also like, I guess you could see it that way.
Yeah, and these typically aren't common everyday words. They're
not.
kind of SAT level words that sometimes escape my mouth. And we'll see there. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're trying to
well,
build you up.
For you, Sam, it's the language barrier, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right, your ethnicity. I guess we won't share that story for the podcast.
No, I don't know if that would be a good one to share.
Was a culture barrier, technically, if you want to go that route.
I mean,
well, sure.
I'll give you that. Because nobody told me about the SATs and that I could take it more than once.
I'm sure. Here's something I know in my core, that when you first saw it, you called it SATs.
I didn't.
Because you pronounce acronyms.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. What's the acronym for the podcast?
Oh, God. Ukwatata and Tui or something like that?
That's it. Yeah. Ukwatata and Tui.
See, why? It sounds like Beetlejuice is going to appear or something.
Yeah.
They've only said it twice. Don't say it a third time, please.
I don't know what will appear if you say it 2 more times.
Kimberly's going to call you.
Well, that could happen at any point. Yeah. That's always on the table. There's nothing unusual about that. But anyway, yes. So anyway, I just felt like it was important to explain that Sarah is held in very high regard. It's just she's an easy target for some things.
She's an amazing sport.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, and you all gave out awards, end of year awards yesterday, and I don't know why you didn't give Sarah the best sport award, because
she assigned that to herself. That award.
What was your award, Sarah?
I think it was
most likely to track office drama on a spreadsheet or something like that.
Yeah.
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 Listen, Sarah's also like a secret little vault of secrets. A secret to her also, because she'll forget things, but she knows like things that are going on. She knows more than she should know.
In one eye, out the other.
Okay. So
we're gonna get to the topic.
We are. We're talking about New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
So so estate plans and New Year's resolution, I think it just boils down to the procrastination aspect. And so get to it. So another thing that occurred to me that is more reasons people get estate plans done at the beginning of the year, besides a New Year's resolution, is did you know that divorces increase exponentially in the beginning of the year?
Ooh.
No?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So because Sarah and Sam did not know that, I want you to speculate as to why you think that is.
My guess is like stress of the holidays and like all of that is now kind of ended.
Yeah.
To where they're kind of like, oh, maybe this person didn't, I don't know, help as much as they should, or they fought a lot over things, or I don't know. The last straw, so to speak.
That's part of it. There's a related one that's probably a bigger reason, but it's kind of related to that. Can you think of another reason why people would have a higher rate of divorce at the beginning of the year? I think it's probably harder since neither of you have been married and or had children.
Right.
But disrupting the holidays for your family and your kids is a lot. So a lot of people feel like, I can't do this anymore. But if they're feeling that way in like September, October, like all of that, they're like, I can't do this to the kids. I can't, like, I just, let's just get through the holidays. Like, just write that down, crochet that on a pillow. Let's just get through the holidays.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So with divorce comes a change in assets and who has what, and perhaps ideas that you have about who you want to take care of your kids. And so divorce is a great time to either redo your estate plan or get one in the first place. But there's a good chance that, especially if you have kids, that you may not necessarily want your ex to be the one in charge of your money, for the kids, all of that. And so you may not want them to be the ones who make medical decisions for you or to be your executor or to really have anything whatsoever to do with you. And so you can go ahead pre-divorce, being final, and get your estate plan started. There's not a reason, other than perhaps your finances and budgeting, but there's not a reason to wait. There's not a legal reason. There may be some things we need to wait on. For example, if you do a living trust and we need to connect your assets to the trust, we can go ahead and get all that set up so it's in full force and effect. But once the divorce is final, when we know, okay, who has the house, who has the bank accounts, all of this, we can't necessarily connect those to the trust. Also, in many divorced situations, there are requirements that are agreed upon where you have to keep a spouse or kids named as beneficiaries of life insurance or just other arrangements, and that's important to incorporate into whatever your estate plan is. But just because your divorce isn't final, and in Texas, there's no separation. There's no legal separation, meaning you are married until the day you're divorced. So the law will look at your spouse as your spouse until the day you are divorced. There's no, oh, but they were separated, or there was a divorce on file or anything. So just because you haven't gotten the final divorce yet, there's a very good chance that's still not the person that you want to be making decisions for you if something should happen. So I think it is a good idea to go ahead, if you know you're going to get divorced, to go ahead and get your estate plan updated and started. The reverse is true. What do I mean by the reverse? The reverse is that, this has not been my personal experience, but kudos to you, who are getting divorced, but you're still buds with your ex and you still want them to do things. You still want them to make medical decisions or be your executor or oversee money for your kids. Like, that's great. Just didn't work out. But I still trust them to do these things for me. So you still need to update it. So if you have a will that says, my husband is my executor, is my trustee, is my medical power of attorney in the medical power of attorney document, even if you still want them to be, you need to update it after divorce, because Texas automatically disqualifies them if you have a spouse and the date that everything was signed is pre-divorce. And that kind of messes with people sometimes, but it is important. So if you want your spouse to make medical decisions for you, even once you're divorced, you need to have it updated after your divorce, even if it says right now that's who you've picked. Does that make sense? I
Is
mean,
that the only
does
thing
it
they
make
do
sense what I'm saying you need to
automatically?
do? What?
Yeah.
Yes. Is that the only thing they do automatically?
Who's they?
The state. We've mentioned how many times like things don't happen automatically, but is that one thing that is
Oh,
like, because
well, no,
I
it's
know
not
that
automatic.
happens. It's
It's
like
not
I know,
automatic.
yeah,
It's not automatic. So here's a very important nuance. It's by operation of law. So what I just said is
yeah,
not automatic. It has to be proven. Just like when we say a home doesn't automatically go to a spouse when one spouse dies, that doesn't mean it won't go to the spouse. It's just not automatic. It's by operation of law. So you have to go to a court, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. You have to go through probate. So it's the same thing. It's not like you've got the medical power of attorney and once you're divorced, it's like invisible ink that just comes off the paper and nobody will ever know that you have that person named. But it has to be shown or demonstrated or proved. So, a lot of gray area there, just to be clear on the automatic word.
And that's a really big point that I feel a lot of people who don't know, that's why you go to an attorney, they don't think of how many things. It's not necessarily proving that something happened, it's also proving that something was undone. And proving that no, even though this happened, XYZ still wants to be done. Okay, so you need to do something to prove that you do want this. And I think that's a big piece of how, like, no, things aren't just going to happen. You need to go through all the steps to make sure it's binding.
That's right, Cynthia, San Francisco. Another thing that you need to be sure of is when it comes, it doesn't work that way with other things. So like life insurance beneficiaries and retirement beneficiaries, we see this happen a lot. This is a very common mistake where you don't think about how you named an ex or a previous person even on those. And if you don't update those, not every company works the same way that the state of Texas does. So it may very well keep your ex-spouse. This actually happened in my family. I won't say who it was, but someone that I know in my family passed away. They had an old life insurance policy that they had not looked at in like 30 years. And it had someone else in my family who was an ex-wife listed as a beneficiary. And they had been divorced for like 30 years, but just never thought to update it, never did anything. It's not like your insurance company necessarily reaches out to you and say, hey, do you want to change your beneficiaries? So if it's something you're not keeping track of, then it's something that could at some point go to an ex or someone who's passed away. So it's a good idea to always make sure that you're looking at however beneficiaries are designated and getting those set up, especially in divorce. So the last thing before we get to the Sam and Sarah show is beginning of the year, another thing that prompts people to either get an estate plan or update their estate plan is the idea of cutting family members out. Now, why do you think that is?
They saw them at the family function and realized no more.
No more.
Especially with the upcoming election.
Upcoming?
Oh, sorry.
Or recent.
Inauguration. Okay.
Upcoming
Yes.
Election.
We actually have had some people reach out that wanted to make changes based on election results. That's a thing. And so, yes, you may have decided that after the holidays, there are some unsavory characters in your family that you would really rather not have them involved, make decisions, inherit property, all of the above. And well, my friends, I have good news for you. Can you disinherit a family member in Texas?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. And when I say family member, I mean child, I mean spouse. It's a little trickier with spouse because we are a community property state, so you can cut them out of whatever your share or interest is, but that's super complicated. Maybe we'll talk more about that. Actually, make a note for that when we have Jamie Dugan back, Sarah, to ask her about that mess, cutting out a spouse from your estate plan, because I don't know that we dug into that as much as we could have. I know we talked a lot about community property issues, but that's a complicated one. So I have to try to remember if we did discuss that. If not, let's go there. But yes, you can do that. And there's really no problem in doing that. And we typically recommend going all in, just completely cutting them out. We usually put precautions in there where it's called a no contest clause, where we say no one can contest this. We also, in many of our wills, have a limitation of devisee, which says not only that, beneficiaries that I did name, if they think that they're entitled to more, then the most they can recover is $1. So if they do bring suit and prove that they should get something, the most they can get is $1. But I want to get to the dollar thing because a lot of people think well, I need to at least give them $1 or $10 or something nominal. And we'd have to look up the history of this. It's almost one of those misnomers like will readings, which I told Sarah I think would be a fun thing for
Ooh.
us to
Yeah.
discuss as a
I
future
think that
episode,
would
talk
be a
about the
cool
reading of wills.
episode of just
Yeah,
like
it's
a
on the
lot of
list.
yeah, like but a lot of like
Yeah,
random stuff, like the dollar thing or this or
yeah, yes. So I don't know if it's required in other states or where the origin of that. But let me tell you, in Texas, you don't, and we typically don't recommend that you do. And unless you just want to be petty, and I'm all for that. Like, I love it. If you're just like, I give my porcelain duck to my niece, and she always hated that duck. Okay, I'm okay with the pettiness aspect, but don't do it because you feel like you need to. Because in Texas, with a will, you actually have to notify and send a copy of the will to all the beneficiaries. So you're making your executor have to reach out to that person, know where they live, know how to find them, and then be able to somehow get something to them. And that opens the door for, oh, I didn't know that my mom, who I'm estranged from, passed away. No, I want to see the will. I get to see the will. I get to see what happens. And that's one of the most common issues that we see come up, where that causes conflict and fighting when someone has passed away is, you know, wanting to see copies of wills, wanting to see an accounting, like all this entitlement. And there is a certain degree, depending on who you are to the person who passed away or who you are as a beneficiary, that does give you rights to know some of that. So that's often very contrary to the entire intent of disinheriting somebody, is to be able to say, no, I don't want any involvement. And by giving them $1 or $10 or what have you, you're making them get involved. And that can be an issue. To go a step further, though, another piece is it's not just about disinheriting from receiving anything, but it's also who can be decision makers. So we often talk about how important it is to have a will or a trust or a power of attorney to be able to say, who can make these decisions? Who can handle this for me if I'm unable to do so? But it also may be important to say who cannot do that under any circumstances. So you might say, I want Sarah as my first choice, Sam as my second choice, but under no circumstances can Cynthia serve.
Sorry.
So that if a situation where Cynthia San Francisco knocks off Sarah and Sam, so now I have a medical power of attorney that doesn't have a person named, so they're going to court. Who's going to make decisions? And Cynthia's like, I'll do it. They're like, no, not you, not you.
Nice try.
So nice try. Also, under those circumstances, she'd probably be in prison at that time. But regardless of the criminal acts,
I know some pretty good attorneys in that field, so maybe not. Same.
Yeah. Yes. So anyway, that's something that after the holidays and going into the new year may be a reason for you to want to get your will, trust, powers of attorney in place or to update them. You may have decided that there are family members that you do not want involved, do not want to get anything. I think the last way that we see that come up is we have people change things because they might have, let's say they named their sister as an executor, and then their mom died, and the sister was the executor for the mom, and she did a terrible job. And so it's like, I can't have my sister; she's terrible. Yeah. So you can change all of those things. So that's what the holidays bring upon us. It's a new year, ready to start fresh, and these are all good reasons to get it done. Why are you all smiling and laughing?
I actually don't know. I'm here for the vibes.
So, I've been passively looking at butter molds in the background, and I found a video on how to make a Buddha butter mold.
And I just hear this music start.
I stopped it, but it's just, this is what we're talking about Julie and her hosting and butter molds. So I've just been like passively scrolling.
check out the link in the comments, everybody.
of the butter.
Buddha butter mold.
There's
Of
also
the
a
Buddha
duck, apparently.
mold. Yes. So I think that Sam and Sarah have something special prepared for us when it comes to.
Well,
Sure.
Okay. Well, just take it from here. Is this going to be a rapid fire situation?
Yes.
Because I need to know whether to interrupt for clarity or just to let you go.
I think rapid fire, and then we can go back.
And then clarity. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And did you finally decide who's going to go first?
Yeah.
We did.
It has been the last few weeks. We have
not consistently.
Correct, but we
let's just let one of our New Year's resolutions be that we're going to be more honest with ourselves.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
All right.
Ready? In 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right. Number 1, get a gym membership and use it once and then never again.
Wait a minute. Sorry, stop. You're going to have to start over.
Okay.
You did not give us your topic.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's our New Year's resolutions as people who do not make them.
Okay. Now go.
Yes. So, starting with number 1, get a gym membership, use it once, and then never again.
Okay.
Sign up for a marathon that you will bravely not run.
I think I actually did that. I signed up for another bike race, and I might not do it.
Sarah.
Well, didn't you like doing
another
it
one? Okay. I thought you did the last one. Keep going.
I thought we were doing rapid fire.
Sorry, I forgot already. Next goal, pet every dog.
Stay alive.
Don't get fired.
Ditto.
This is a real one. I want to become a local guide on Google Maps and be that person that reviews everything for fun. This does include rating public bathrooms on Yelp.
And finally, I can't say this seriously anymore. Okay. And finally, get my family the great, long-lasting, fantastic, legacy-lasting gift of estate planning.
That's right.
Now wait just a minute. What happened with those recordings of getting everyone in the office to say,
oh, we need to get Duncan.
The great long last.
I still have them.
We have everybody but Duncan.
And I even sent you Kimberly and Adley.
Yeah.
See, what Sarah's envisioning is, like those like Lincoln, not sponsored, commercials where it's like this black and white, an actor just driving, saying something like profound. I feel like that's what we need to do with these recordings. Just have some sort of commercial, some
like
sort of like
video.
TikTok. And it's just that. It's different versions of that. And it's like, I don't know, somebody signing a will with
I don't know. I like that. I also like that meme with the cat in the suit with the newspaper. And it should just say,
one of my favorites.
I should, because it says I should get a boat. And instead it should say, I should get my family the great, long-lasting, fantastic, legacy-lasting gift of estate planning. That's okay. I'll make that meme immediately. So, so great. So those are all great, wonderful New Year's resolutions, things that we're going to kick off the year, and we're going to kick them off right with Burch Law. Thanks for listening. And just to cover all our bases about what you just heard, I'm sorry and you're welcome. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and tell your friends about us. We do webinars and live events. The best way to stay up to date is to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, maybe you have a question you'd like us to answer, or maybe you just want to say hi, hit the link in the show notes or go to burch-law.com/podcast and fill out the contact form.
Much better.
Yeah, I thought that had a lot of energy.